Alright, let's continue on our algebra journey. We'll start looking at equations now. An equation says that two things are equal, and it will have an equals sign. So this equation says that whatever is on the left of the equals sign, in this case the 4x minus 7, is equal to what is on the right of the equal sign, the 5. Now there are different parts of this equation. One part is the variable. Now a variable, also known as pronumeral, we met that in the intro to algebra video. So a variable or a pronumeral is the letter used to represent a number or a quantity. Remember, algebra, we get to use letters now. We've brought letters into our maths. So these are the variables or pronumerals. Now the number in front of a variable is called the coefficient. This number is multiplied by the variable. Remember, when we put two things together, they're multiplied, but we don't need to show the multiplication symbol. That was one of the general guidelines of algebra. We can leave out the multiplication symbol, we just put the things next to each other. So the coefficient is multiplied by the variable. The next thing to label is the constant. Now a constant is a number on its own, and you can see we have two of them here, the 7 and the 5. A number on its own, meaning not paired with a variable. And the final thing to label here is the operator. The operator is the mathematical operation that is being performed. In this case it's subtraction. We have that minus sign. So that's the operator. We're going to do subtraction. We have 4 times x, 4 times that variable. We're going to minus 7, and our answer then will be equal to 5. A couple of other things to label. Terms. A term is a single number or a single variable or a combination of them. So if the number is paired up with a variable, we of course call it the coefficient. So we have 3 terms in this equation. We have a pairing of a coefficient and variable, and we have 2 constants. So these are all terms. Now, if we have a group of terms, that's actually called an expression. So we have one expression here in this equation, 4x minus 7. See how we've used 2 terms? Well, that's our expression, a grouping of terms. Now, a formula is a mathematical rule that uses 2 or more pronumerals. So 2 or more variables. In this equation, we've only used one variable, the x. But if we had 2 or more, that would be a formula. Now, what we can do is substitute a number in for a variable, for a pronumeral. And that number takes the place of that pronumeral. And this allows us to evaluate or solve the formula or the expression. Now, when we do substitute a number into a formula, any hidden multiplication signs must be shown. So remember, what we have in front of us right now is 4 times x, but we don't show the multiplication sign. But when we substitute, we have to put those multiplication signs back in. So we'll just go through a few examples super duper quick. What we have is b equals 4a plus 3. That's great. 2 unknowns, we couldn't solve it. But actually now we only have one unknown because the question tells us, hey, guess what? A is equal to 5. So now we can solve for b. So we substitute the 5 in for the a. So b equals 4a plus 3 is the same as b equals 4 times 5 plus 3. Okay, so we've substituted in the value of a, we've put the 5 in there. We have to show the multiplication symbol now. So we've got 4 times 5, and of course BODMAS is our friend. We do the 4 times 5 first, so that will give us 20, and we still have that 3 to add on, and let's do that, and we come out with 23 as our answer for b. So with b equals 4a plus 3, if a equals 5, then we can solve for b, and b is 23. Another example, m equals 10n minus 5. Now in this case n equals 7, so we will substitute that 7, and instead of 10n, remember it's 10 times n, that will give us 10 times 7. BODMAS is our friend. We do the multiplication before we do the subtraction. So 10 times 7 is 70. Now we can take away the 5 and we can see that m is equal to 65. So when n equals 7, m we've just solved will be 65. This is one way that you might see questions written where it gives the formula and then a value for one of the pronumerals, one of the variables. You might get a different type of question. It might be written like this. Well, it's not really a different type of question. It's just written differently. But essentially, it's exactly the same thing. We have a formula. We've got two variables here, c and h. So c is 65h plus 200, and we have a value of one of them because h is the number of hours, and the question says we're dealing with 4 hours. So we know h is equal to 4. So it's essentially the same type of question as the first two. It's just written differently. We sort of have this paragraph of information. We have to work out what to do with it. Well, what to do with it? We start with a formula, and we know that h equals 4, so we can substitute that 4 in for h. We do BODMAS, the multiplication, before the addition. So 4 times 65 is 260. Now we can add on our 200, and we can see that c is equal to 460. And we might think that we're finished, but we're not quite. Read the question carefully. It says find the cost of hiring the hall. We need a cost, we need a monetary value. C does equal 460, but 460 is not a monetary value. Now the original question says C is the cost in dollars, so let's put it into dollars now. The cost will be $460. So I'm hoping you see the difference there. We hadn't actually answered the question when we just said C equals 460. We had to find the cost. $460. That's the cost. So just go that one extra little step and make sure you're addressing what the question wants you to address. Well, that's the video done. If you liked it, brilliant. Hit the like button and leave me a comment too. Now you know what to do. Go hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.